Hey everyone, it is Man here. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to make a block that disappears whenever a player touches it. So the first thing we're going to do is go to Workspace and then insert a folder. And I'm just going to call this Disappearing Blocks. Then I'm going to insert a part into the workspace. Then I'm going to just drag that over to the folder. Then I'm going to just resize it. Alright, so once we've done that, we're going to go over to Starter Player and then go to Starter Player Scripts and then insert a local script. So first we're going to need to get the player service. So we're going to say local players equals game get service players. And then we're going to need tween service so we can have the disappearing effect. So we're going to say local tween service equals game get service tween service. And then we need to get the player object. So local player equals players dot local player. Then we also need to make a variable for the folder we created here. So we're going to say local disappearing blocks equals workspace dot disappearing blocks. And then now what we have to do is we have to create a loop that will go through all of the blocks inside of the disappearing blocks folder. So I'm actually going to go ahead and duplicate this a few times. So now we have multiple blocks that we want to disappear. Now to go through all of these blocks that are inside of the folder, we're going to say for I v in pairs. And then we're going to say disappearing blocks get children. So this will get all of the blocks inside of the folder here. Then we're going to say v.touched. So this event will fire whenever something touches these blocks that are inside of the folder. So keep in mind that anything can touch these blocks, but we only want them to disappear if what touched the block was actually a player. So we're going to say v.touched connect function hit. So now we need to check if what touched the block was a player. So we're going to say local plr, because remember we already have a variable called player here, so we have to make a different name for this. We're going to say players get player from character hit dot parent. So in most cases what's going to happen is what touches these blocks, it's most likely going to be the player's leg, and then the parent of the player's leg is going to be the player's character, and then this function here gets the player object from their character. And then we're going to say if plr, because we want to make sure that the player actually touched the block and it wasn't something else. Then we're also going to say and plr equals player, because we want to make sure that our player touched it, right? We don't want to make it disappear if another player touched it. Then, alright, so now we need to make the block disappear. So to do that, we're going to say local fade tween. So we're going to use tween service now. We're going to say tween service create. So this will create a tween. And so this does take in a few parameters. So first we need to say what we're going to tween. So we want to tween one of these blocks that the player touched, right? So we're going to say v, because that's the block that the player touched. And then we're going to say tween info.new. Then we need to say how fast we want the tween to be. So I'm going to just set that to 1 second. And then I'm going to say enum.easingstyle.linear, because we want the tween to be constant. Then at the end of the tween, we want the transparency of the block to be invisible. So in that case, we need to be setting the transparency property of the block to 1. So I'm going to say, make sure you put the squiggly brackets, and then inside of that, say transparency equals 1. Then below that, we're going to say fade tween colon play. Then we're going to say fade tween dot completed wait. So this will wait for the tween to be completed. Then once the tween is done, we want to make the block not collidable. So if the player is standing on it and it goes invisible, we want the player to go through it. So to do that, we're going to say v.canCollide equals false, and this will turn off collisions. And then we're going to wait a few seconds. So task.wait, I'm going to just wait 3 seconds, and then we can bring the block back. So we're going to say v.canCollide equals true, and then v.transparency equals 0. And this will make the block visible again. Now one more thing we have to do is add a debounce. So when a player touches the block, it's actually going to run this code several times, but we only want it to run once. So to add a debounce, what we're going to do is go here, and then I'm going to make a variable called already hit. and I'm going to set that to false initially. Then here, I'm going to say and not already hit, because we only want the code here to run if the player has not already hit the part, so they're hitting it for the first time. Then we run the code. Otherwise, we don't. So then here, I'm going to say already hit equals true. Since the player has not hit it, now we're saying that they did hit it. And then at the end, we're going to say already hit equals false, because we need to reset the variable. So now if I go ahead and hit play, oh, it looks like we have an error. Oh, I made a spelling mistake. Alright, so now if I hit play, you can see that I fell on the block and it disappeared. And it looks like it is not coming back. Alright, so the reason why that wasn't working was because we actually have to anchor the parts. So when collisions go off, right, and the part is not anchored, it's actually going to fall through the base plate. So that's why it wasn't coming back. So if I hit play now, it should work properly. As you can see, the block disappears. Then collisions are off. Then it should come back. There we go. And it disappeared again because I stepped on it. And it should work with all of the blocks. So you can see that they all disappear. And there we go. That is how you make a disappearing block in Roblox Studio. So if you found this video helpful, please leave a like, and I will see you all in the next video.